Hello and happy Friday, families and students of the Benedictine Schools of Richmond. We are returning stronger together this fall, entering into 2020-21 school year. What you're looking at is the outward-facing public document that summarizes the content from our safety plan. There's a much lengthier safety plan document that we will share with you next week, but for starters, this will give you a great bird's eye view of how we plan to reopen campus. Our cover letter captures the reasons why we're doing this, the joy and anticipation that we have, and certainly the urgency with which we share this with you, given that we all have to execute this plan to a very high level if we're going to make this school year work. But we have such high confidence because we know that we all want this to work so badly. We're willing to sacrifice. We are willing to be uncomfortable, to take great lengths to make our school year happen on campus. And that's why we've made this decision to start the school year live and in person, because we know that we're determined and dedicated and we're going to pull this off. This approach page reflects our Benedictine charism that includes prayer, discipline, patience, and care. Handy acronym here that summarizes the way that we have attacked this plan. Because every element of the plan involves barriers, it involves considering time duration, it involves distancing, context has been considered, and certainly all of these things are measured against what we know of the disease. And as all of us know, that does change over time. We've only known this disease for 7-8 months now. So we do understand and accept the fact that this plan could change as the medical community turns toward a different emphasis or discovers something new or an important, or even as different measures against the virus present themselves. The next few pages summarize the health and safety procedures in categories that usually fall into the types of questions we have and the measures that we'll have to take. For instance, face coverings certainly has gotten a lot of attention. This describes briefly how we will be managing our face coverings and our expectations for how they'll be worn and which ones will be worn. Much more detail will follow when we have the teachers in front of us, certainly, and we start doing some heavier communication about the start of school. Temperature screenings are going to be a shared commitment. We don't have mechanically or logistically the ability to screen every student as they enter the building. So this will involve some teamwork between the school and the home and the student. Summarized here is our change to the approach to visitors on campus. This is so difficult for us being a Benedictine community. We are welcoming, we are hospitable. So it pains us to take these measures, but we know that in the end, a welcoming greeting to campus involves the safety of those visitors and participants. Here is a shortened version of how we're handling lunch. There's a long list of things that our kitchen and our maintenance staff are doing to make sure lunch works. More health and safety procedures around wellness, spearheaded by our guidance department. Transportation has been considered, not just to and from school, but also for athletic activities or necessary trips that might be taken. Fran Pachilli, our athletic director, has been very busy working with numerous experts and her partner athletic directors to make sure that everything we do in athletics is just as safe as the measures that we're taking in our building. There are separate communications regarding the athletics plan and the schedule for any sports that will happen. Those are coming out of the athletic department, and you'll see them from Fran Pachilli. Distance learning. We learned a lot last spring, and we are aiming to provide distance learning if necessary, not just for students that are at risk or have other considerations, but in the unlikely event that our entire building would be shut down due to an outbreak or something else that happens in our region. We pray that won't happen. We pray we won't have to use it in full bore, but we're going to be ready if it does, and it'll be better than it was last year. And I think we did pretty well last year from what I've seen, but we certainly look to do even better. Procedures around hallways and lockers must be considered. This will be lengthy conversations with questions and answers between our students and staff. We already know that. Classroom changes have been modified. We've looked through the building at pinch points where there might be too many students in one place at one time trying to get through one hallway. We've made adjustments so that those pinch points happen at a minimum. Maintenance has been busy, increasing and modifying some ventilation issues in our building to bring it above standard if at all possible, and at standard certainly, so that our air is fresh and clean inside the building as much as possible. You'll see a lot of windows open. You'll even see some fans installed in windows to draw air out of the room to keep a higher amount of fresh air coming in. Cleaning and sanitation has required significant expenditures, not just with materials, but also manpower. So this is a nice summary on proper mask usage. We'll be diving into some pretty direct instruction with all staff, faculty, and students, and even visitors. We'll provide this instruction for them. 5 common mask wearing mistakes. We all see these in the community, and that will be a teachable moment when we talk to students and visitors about how to use the mask correctly so that it really does provide some amount of protection. This one pager is an excellent summary that tries to clarify the issues around isolation and quarantine. There's a lot of questions that happen when we hear about a case, a positive diagnosis. This summarizes the measures that'll be taken in terms of time separate or isolation and quarantine. In summary, we are really in this together. Quite a coincidence that a year that brings us all together on campus brings us all together in this plan. It is not an easy plan. We know that it's uncomfortable. We know that it's difficult, but it's so important to come back together as a community to learn and worship, pray, and play together. That we're committed to doing the hard things. And we have a high confidence that this community can pull this off because we're all so dedicated and determined to make this work again. Thanks so much for your time and patience. Please take time to review this document deeply. We will expect all stakeholders to embrace it, to adhere to it, and to support it. But we're also open to any questions, concerns, scrutiny. We want this to work, and we know that with something untested like this, much like my extemporaneous presentation today, it's not going to be perfect. And where it's not working, we will change it. Thanks again for your time. May God bless you, and have an excellent weekend.